Hello and welcome to this tutorial how I did paint this Scythes of the Emperor Marines in double the scale for Inquisitor, the RPG game from 2000 it was, and due to 3D printing we could print our miniatures the way and the size we like. So I did it here. A sergeant and space marine from a tactical squad and a tactical dreadnought armor, short Terminator armor. The files are from Fummelfinger. You can find it on the purple page. I printed them at 200% and will show you the Scythes of the Emperor paint scheme with airbrush, with manual brush work, with oil colors and pigments. And you should get a snack and something to drink, cause we are about to dive into around 38 minutes of tutorial time. So, shall we start? This is not a question, this is a command. We start with the black primed miniature, in parts of course, and I start with the airbrush with that white. This color is to prepare the yellow areas, cause they should be vibrant, they should be bright, and if you start with yellow on black, it looks like crap. I did a Scythe of the Emperor Redemptor Dreadnought tutorial some years ago. I worked a bit differently. In this case, I've tried to mix my newest achieved knowledge, add up some old habits of mine and show you the best result here. So there are some things you could do differently in the ongoing tutorial. For example, the orange color I apply later for the yellow parts didn't need to be all the surfaces. There could be a transition between this brown I spray now for the shadow areas and the white that's still there, or you could spray the orange that's applied in the next step and add white after this to give the yellow a more vibrant shine. This is up to you. I didn't know where I would end and which step I take while I'm filming this, and this is what happened due to the process. So, charged brown is sprayed in as a shadow color, and the white before was sprayed as a zenithal highlight color, and I apply orange fire here. You don't need to apply this orange fire all over. You can just focus on the transition area between brown and white, if you like, or go the route I took and add more bright highlights mixed with yellow later. It's totally up to you. So, this is a nice color. I need to paint something in this orange as a main color, I think. Are there any ideas what I should paint? Is there a faction in 40k where I could use this nice orange? Let me know in the comments down below. Mentioning this, I already got some Adeptus Mechanicus printed in the big scale. Maybe this is something for you. After orange fire, there is a color that's called gold yellow. Gold yellow is a nice color. I like it. It's close to Avalon Sunset from Citadel, and I already liked this color for years. So I spray in gold yellow here and there, leave some of the orange stain as a shadow color, but only slightly. And focusing on the how it's called, the gorge, this thing atop the breastplate that that saves the face from hits, that protects the face. Damn, I didn't speak English in a long time. Sorry for this, not a native English speaker. Yeah, you'd see my airbrush starts to spit a bit, so I need to dry the whole system and resume to airbrushing a bit later, but of course magic of the internet is just some seconds for you. And after I cleaned everything, I add some white into the gold yellow, so that we get in a bit of a lemon yellow color tone. This one is focused on the upper parts. Keep in mind, I don't use any color later to get highlights transitions or something like this. This, what I spray here, is the final result for the yellow colors. I only add scratches and edge highlights later. And I'm filming from another angle than before, that I can stay focused on the miniature, and I'm not used to this angle, so I spray in front of the cam, and you cannot see the miniature all the time. I hope you can excuse this. It's a bit of new territory for me. The next thing is just pure white due to the airbrush, through the airbrush, focusing a slight film, a thin film of this white on the parts where yellow should be the brightest. Next up in the process, I thought, hey, there needs to be a bit more shadow, and I sprayed in some burned umber into the areas where I think there needs to be a more orangey browny shadow underneath the knee pad, underneath the arms, so in the quote-unquote armpits of the armor, for example, and into the backpack's side where light wouldn't hit, and around the backpack, the area where the backpack is attached to the armor and stuff like this. And this is the step for yellow. Now leave everything to dry and mask everything with masking tape. That should stay yellow. And I used this, how it's called? Tamiya? It was Tamiya, yes. There are so many brands, it doesn't matter. Just use what you're used to. And we start with the black parts with Vallejo Black, or Vallejo Black. Just simply spray it on like a foundation so that we can work from there. My idea for the black parts was to go for a slightly bluish highlight to get a complementary contrast to the orangey yellow. Cause complementary to yellow is purple and to orange is yellow, so it's kinda hit this niche. So I add some gray blue with black and spray it on like a highlight. So on the upper parts of the body, or the parts that show through the light source that should be atop the miniature. In my case, there is no dramatic lighting. The light hits from straight above, so it's most easy for me to paint this one. And I guess this bluish, anthracite, grayish black looks better overall than a pure black armor. I mix in some UK Azure into the mix. This is a bluish gray, and hit some of the areas where the light would hit the most. And of course I got the airbrush online right now. I hit up the face with Athena skin and Prue Pink to prepare this one for the painting later. After the Prue Pink is dried, I apply a coat of Guillaume Flash, the contrast paint, so that there are some shadows in the face, but I forgot to film it, so excuse that. Next up, when everything is dried, remove the masking tape and you see the magic. Yeah. There is a checkerboard pattern on the chain blade and on the Terminator's fist, cause all the old artworks of the Scythes of the Emperor, when they fight in the Tyrannid hive ships against these old Tyrannids in the artworks, there are always these checkerboard patterns, and this is kind of nod to the past for me. And I like it. Yeah. Okay, repairing some areas where I sprayed over and preparing the soft armor for the later coloration with Corvus Black. I don't want a deep black. I want a anthracite black that hits the overall color gradation better. So I use Corvus Black for this. Next up, some more repairing with Avalanche Sunset. There are some parts where I didn't mask perfectly and I painted over a bit with several thin coats and prepare everything else to get a feeling where all the colors are and how the overall feeling of the miniature is. All the leather parts or maybe wooden parts on your miniatures are painted in Dryad Bark, a dark desaturated brown, I should say. It's not a reddish brown, it's not a grayish brown, I don't know. It's rather desaturated. And simply apply the paints onto the miniature. Next paints we use for the Laurel on the head and the grenade is Castellan Green, Corn Red for the Purity Seal, the lenses and the Crack Grenade, Steel Legion Drab for the parchment papers, Iron Warrior and Balthazar Gold for the metal parts, and Dawnstone for the Aquila and the tactical symbol on the shoulder. And now we are into highlighting, or as I like to call it, scraping and weathering. I use Avalanche Sunset as the darkest yellow and apply it as an edge highlight in small lines and single dots around the edges. And then I drag the brush into the surface so that I can emulate some scratches where maybe the chainsword is hit into something, the ceramide teeth are gnawing on the victim, and the housing of the chainsword is scraping across some armor panels or stuff like this. Or on the body, maybe the chest armor around the arms is hit by its own adjacent armor panel, and there is some of the paint scraped away. So I paint in some of these scratches all around. And this is the most I do for the miniature, the focus on the miniature, the weathering and scratching. And I apply a second coat with Avalanche Sunset and Dorn Yellow, mixed on a wet palette in a roughly 1:1 ratio, and apply some more of these scratches. To explain it to you, if a damage on a painted surface is deeper, the height, the micro to millimeter height from the paint layer underneath or the indentation to the top surface paint layer, the deeper it goes, the more potential is there that there will be a small highlight on the scratches or indentions edge, and there the color would be brighter. So this is the explanation for this. And the next step is, as you see here, Dawn Yellow for the brightest parts of the scratches. You could focus this on the upper part of the miniature to give them the natural highlight, or use it to make the scratches and dents more severe. When you've done this one, we go on to the black armor. Yes, the lighting is a bit too much on the painting table here. The color looks damn bright, I see it. But it's kind of dark. I use Ashen Gray to paint in some scratches from the edges into the surface, and some scratches and small dots onto the surface, to give the feeling that the Marine hit maybe some branches or metal pieces, armor crates or whatever on his way in the campaign on Ica 4 to fight in the Second Tyrannic War. Next up, I mix Ashen Gray. Come on, this is a mixed word of ashen and mixed. I mix Ashen Gray with Fenrisian Gray. Roughly 1-to-1 mix, and go on to apply this as previously. Add in some scratches. This color could be used more on the more bluish gray surfaces to give a contrasting edge there. And as you can see here, I apply it all around. There's no magic. I explain these steps in each and every tutorial, and it's the same all the time. There is no magic within it. It's just like painting by numbers. You know what you do, just recreate the steps on another miniature, maybe with another color. The next is a Fenrisian Gray mixed with Ashen Gray in a roughly 2-to-1 mix, so that's more into the bluish gray side of the color. Sadly, a bit out of focus, but same steps. Now with pure Fenrisian Gray as a final bluish grayish highlight for the most severe scratches where the light reflects more from the hit surface. And then we are finally done with painting in scratches on armor panels. This took you about 15 minutes here in the video. It took me about 4 hours. Damn, this was a long process. But keep in mind, I got 3 miniatures, not only one, you see here. Next up is nearly the same techniques on the leather parts. This is Cadishan Flash Tone. And as you can see here, I didn't use any shading colors. I paint in my shades like this. So, nothing special. Next up, Gorthor Brown. This one is a bit to highlight the surface and a bit to use to get the used look. To add in some small lines, scrapes, scratches onto the leather parts. So, last sip of my cold coffee. Damn. And we go on with Baneblade Brown. Same process. Use this one for these small dots and lines for scratches. If you want to go into a more warm brown, you could use something like Mournfang Brown. This is more reddish orangey. You can go into a real cool grim dark scratch and highlight pattern with gray, or you can go with this slightly cold way with the Baneblade Brown and Carrickstone. You could add in some layers, some glazing with green to give the brown a slightly greenish tint. Whatever you like, go for it. Mix techniques from different YouTubers to get the result you like the most. Krack Granade and Purity Seal. Previously we painted with Corn Red, now we use Wasdaka Red, and here there's a small highlight that is coming from my painting lamp. And I used this one to get the areas where the round Krack Granade should look a bit brighter. Ow! Next up, Wild Rider Red. As previously, small horizontal lines onto the Krack Granade to give it a bit of a highlight. Not so much indentions and scratches, cause when grenades, so explosives, are damaged, maybe they don't work that good, so I don't want to emphasize this one. Onto the green parts, the frag grenade and the Laurel. I use Deathworld Forest and leave a bit of the previously Castellan green showing through, that there is a shadow already, and add in some layers of green to emphasize a highlight. There don't need to be that much of scratches or something like this, because it would look silly, I guess, on this small surface. Next up is Death Guard Green, desaturated bright green. And keep in mind to keep this highlight subtle. I don't want the Laurel or the Granade look glossy or like a really smooth surface. The brighter and more into the white spectrum you get, the more glossy, smooth or metal-y the area look. So this is the final highlight, Nurgling Green. I'm fine with it. Going on to the Aquila, or maybe the Imperialis, whatever your marine got on the chest. I use Administratum Gray as a first highlight, 2 thin coats. Let some of the previously painted Dawnstone show through where the shadow is, and focus the color onto the tips of the feathers and the heads and the muscle part atop of the wing. Next up, also one green. Gray. Gray is it? Is it gray? Yes, it is gray, and I want to emphasize the first company of the Scythes of the Emperor got a white Aquila, but I want to trick the eye. It shouldn't be that bright, so I trick the eye through these gray, cold, and off-white colors that the eye thinks, oh, this should be white. So it looks white, but it isn't white, and it could be highlighted better than pure white. The only pure white I use are the final scratches here with white scar. And due to this, the head thinks, yes, this Aquila, it is white. But in all honesty, it's gray and off-white. Some slight cheating of the eye. After this one is done, the next step is on the parchment paper, on the pergament. This is Baneblade Brown. Hit the surface and leave some of the areas in steely drab showing through to emphasize the shadow areas. On the parchment paper on the chest, I leave some of the areas showing through, cause there should be scratches later, and those scratches could be more prominent when there are some dark areas around it. Next up is Karak Stone, a mix of overall highlight of the parchment and these scratch technique. You see it here. And I would ask you, what should Space Marines carry on their parchment papers, on their small scrolls? Should there be their names or some motto like kill, kill, kill or whatever? I thought it should be something with meaning. While Rakarth Flash is applied for the edges, the scratches, and next up is Corn Red for a small symbol, and Dryad Bark for the scripture. I want to emphasize I used the Latin phrase memento mori in this case, cause while the Scythes are fighting in the Second Tyrannic War, on Ica 4 there were many losses in their rank and file, and so they remember the dead. They remember that they must or have to die. Yes, they die in service, but they have to die. So I thought memento mori was a good motto to bear this one on the chest. In this case, I need to think about where to place the letters, cause it's memento, 6 letters, mori, 4 letters. I cannot split in the middle of the paper scroll. I need to get the separation between the two words a bit on the right. And I used a small digital reference on my PC screen to keep in mind where the ratio of the letters should be. Some small scribble with brushwork before, and now I thicken the small lines and add some Rakarth flesh for scratches, cause the letters could be damaged too. But keep in mind to don't overdo this scratching, cause you still need to be able to read the words that you write down. Going on with more details, this is the quote-unquote soft armor. I use Ashen Gray for a highlight, an overall highlight on all the surfaces, and I want to separate the soft armor highlights from the real armor highlights, so I go into this cold grayish and not on this more cold blue grayish spectrum. And as you can see here, simply apply it, leave the Ashen Gray in the previously painted Corvus black in the lower areas, and go on with the next brighter color. This should be Dawnstone. Yes, it is Dawnstone. And simply paint it in. On these small tubes on the belly, I apply it on the upper and lower edge and draw a small vertical line, like a reflection in there. And on these soft armor between the armor panels, there are just some small lines and dots. Nothing special. The lenses on the helmet. Corn red to redo the color. And now the highlighting. Mephiston red, Wild Rider red, Fire Dragon bright, and Luganath orange. The brighter the color gets, the less color will be applied, and I focus the brightest color into the lower inner edge of the eye lens, as you can see here. It's simply speaking the jewel technique. When you get a piece of jewelry or a gem and the light hits, for example, from the right upper side, there will be a dark area with a small reflection that's painted in Palette Witch flesh soon, and on the lower left side there will the color showing through in several shades, and this is the technique. If you want to see this one in a separate video on this channel, just let me know in the comment section below. We go on to the metal parts. This is Lead Belcher, some edge highlights, some scratches, as painted previously. As I said, it's painting by numbers. This is all the same techniques all the time, so nothing special to mention here. The golden parts should be more brassy for me. I don't like this reddish gold or goldish yellow gold. So I redo some of the areas with Balthasar Gold, add in some dots of paint with Rune Lord Brass, focus on the forehead and on all the small bone areas on these stylized skulls, and on these small rivets on the leg. I use the upper part so that there is a lower shadow Balthasar Gold part, and now I highlight all the metal parts with Runefang Steel, focusing on the areas where the light would hit. This is more highlight, less scratching and scraping. Of course, I don't want to get the metal areas too bright that they divert the eye too much from the overall appearance of the model. And now, when I recall correct, every part of the miniature is highlighted. You could leave it there, but you could go a bit further. And I show you after we painted the head. The head, as previously mentioned, was sprayed with 2 colors, and then I forgot to film the step with Guillaume Flesh I applied, so you see shadows here. And now I use those shadows to lead my brush around it. and add a mix of Cadian flesh tone and palette witch flesh. I focus on these small areas that would be more pronounced, like the eyebrow ridges, the nose, the cheekbones, and all these small details here and there, and work in several thin layers to get the result I find most pleasing for my eye. And keep in mind to apply thin layers so that you get smooth transitions. The harder the transition is in between several colors of skin, the more waxy it looks. And we don't want to get a marine from the house of wax, we want to get a marine that looks a bit like a living person, so the transitions need to be relatively smooth. After I'm fine with this color, I apply a bit more of palette witch flesh to get an even brighter color, and go through the same steps: nose, under the eyes, cheekbones, eyebrows, whatever, and add some vertical lines into the forehead, some forward lines you can say, to give it a bit more of structure. Then, when I'm fine with this step, the next thing is to paint in the other details, so the eyes and all the hair, and I start with administratum gray for the eye. The eye got some white areas, but I don't want to go too bright. This would look silly, so I go with a brightish or relatively bright gray, and add in some dried bark for the pupil. Yes, you could go crazy and say, hey, there is the iris, it's blue, and there is a dark pupil in the center, but I think nope, I don't need this. There needs to be a stylized iris, so it's okay. And paint in the beard and add some eyebrows with dried bark. I want him not that senior of a marine, and he got slightly brownish hair with dried bark, Cadishan flesh tone, and Gorthor brown. If you want to go full senior veteran, you can go with gray, or you can add some small grayish hairs into the brown beard, so he's in the transition of the veterancy and getting old stage. It's up to you. Keep in mind, the second layer, this one, is the real color layer. The previously applied one dried bark was the shadow color, and the Gorthor brown is to add some small lines to simulate the individual hair strands. And from there you can go all out crazy nuts. You can give it blonde hair, reddish hair, whatever you like. Go for it. Balthazar gold for this small service stud on his forehead, and some Reichland flesh shade into the recesses around the flesh areas. So between flesh and metal, and flesh and hair, beard, some glazing with this color around the eyes to give it a bit more depth, and we are done with it. And then we go to gloss varnish. The viewers that are frequently here know now it's part for oil colors. And before I apply oils, I need to smooth out the surface from all these microscopic small pores that are on the miniature. And the gloss varnish seals those so that I can work with oil colors with pin washing and remove the oil colors later nearly completely. If there is no gloss varnish, the oil color will work its way in all these small microscopic recesses, and the color cannot be removed completely. My oil colors are from Abteilung 502 by AK Interactive, a turquoise color and a dark brown color with odorless thinner, heavy dilution, and I apply it here and there and use the technique of pin washing. You see it on these rivets on the gorge soon. I hit the rivet from above, and due to the capillary effect of the smooth glossed surface, the oil color will move itself into the recesses around the rivet and all other recesses where I pin wash. This is a technique I found out about when painting historical scale miniatures, and it's so awesome. You can do so much stuff with it. Pin washing, weathering, whatever. Oil color is a real standard for me when painting miniatures, and I highly recommend you to try it out. With this kind of dilution, I left the oil color to dry about 3 or 4 hours after the applying. The more thick you apply your oils, the more time they need to dry. And after this, you can reactivate it with odorless thinner and some feathering brushes and stroke those brushes over the surfaces. This one is a brush I use to remove oil that slightly spilled over into the surfaces where they don't need to be. And the second stage is a former dry brush I use with odorless thinner to get these small watermarks. When there, for example, is the verdigris on the rivets on the leg, I use a vertical stroke so that it's like moving down like a fluid. Check out some old industrial buildings where there is rust and verdigris building up and moving across the walls of the building. This is the same technique, used often in vehicles and scale models, but I like it on my marines too. Next up, heavily diluted pigment powder. I diluted it with water, added here and there into some of the recesses, and with a heavy diluted brush, some small vertical strokes. My marines in Inquisitor get to play a campaign in the second Tyrannic War on Ica 4, a agri world. I think an agri world should be a bit damp, so there are some of these rusty watermarks building up around the armor. It fits our scenic approach on the miniatures. And when this all is dried, we are nearly done. Then there is only the base to be painted. I use charred brown through the airbrush because I like it when my miniature is standing in the base and not on top of the base, so there is dirt building up on the lower leg parts. Oh, I forgot, I used a matte varnish coat to seal the miniature before. Then apply charred brown and use a dry brush with Kadashan Flesh Tone and Gorthor Brown to do two things. First thing is stipple on some of this paint onto the leg, so that it's like small speckles of dried mud, and then dry brush across the surface of the base to give it a slight definition. And after this you could do whatever you like. I go with greenish tufts and some paper plants by Gamer's Grass. You see it on the Turntable pics. And I added some OSL on the Terminator, on the Flamer. And if you want to know how I did this one, just let me know in the comments down below, and I can get you another tutorial with this kind of OSL in the future. If you liked what you've seen and you want to follow me, just hit subscribe and the real subscribe button. It is completely free, or you'd go to the video description and join my following on Instagram. I keep you updated there with everything I do. Right now I paint some Imperial Guard by Red Makers, also in this scale. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the stay, and we see us in the next video. Till then, I'm out for today. Keep on wargaming!